Hello, everybody. Happy Friday afternoon. Dan Coop from Sporttrade here. One of our customers, Max, one of our best users, joining us as well. How's your Friday going, Max?
So far, so good. No complaints.
We
No
love to hear
complaints. How
that.
about you, man?
We love to hear that. Good. You know, the turnaround after a late live show to having a small child who wakes up super early is never that fun, but it is what it is. We're here. It's Friday. We're caffeinated big time.
Nice.
And we
Nice.
may be scheduling another Starbucks run in the afternoon because I've got some yard work.
Nice.
Some yard
Nice.
work I got to get done, considering it's still 80 degrees in October
Yeah.
outside of Philly. So we're super excited to have Max here today because we are going to be showcasing, again, our matched betting series here at Sporttrade. You can go check it out right now at getsporttrade.com. Go to blogs. It's the first thing up there. Unfortunately, my ugly mug is on a lot of these thumbnails. We're working on it, getting somebody else's face up there. But what you can do is you can earn over $4,000 matched betting with Sporttrade and with Dark Horse Odds, one of our amazing partners. We recently partnered with Dark Horse. We've done a couple of content series with them, and we've really fallen in love with their product. I mean, their product has been really good, very consistent, and has proven to be able to make people money. I started this maybe a month or two ago, and I've made over $3,000 doing it, and I can't even use Sporttrade. So I work there. I can't use it. So Max is somebody who is using Sporttrade to hedge these sportsbook promotions on the other side. And just tell us a little bit about your experience.
Yes. I mean, Sporttrade in general, obviously love the product. I love the team. That's part of the reason Move Forward invested in the company. So I am biased, but when looking at the product, the user experience, and also the lines, I mean, I've got part of the reason I didn't have the ability to do so many of these bonuses and promos is because I had a number of accounts previously. But as you run through it, seeing consistently Sporttrade's better lines, better user experience, and the fact that you show the liquidity available is just a game changer. Whereas on the other sites, I've gone to place bets, and yeah, you place the bet and just reject it, or you place it for a few hundred and you get like $30. So it's not quite the experience you'd like. And definitely going through it, a couple things that I learned that I probably should have asked for a little bit more of your time up front. But the big one was making sure you place the hedge bet or the first bet, the promo bet first, to make sure that it goes through, and making sure the liquidity is there on Sporttrade before doing so. And then also on Dark Horse, what you walked me through, making sure that you have the settings right so you don't have the BYO for Sporttrade. Because the first couple of times I'm looking at it, the lines weren't matching up. I started to get a little frustrated, thought I was doing something wrong. And then as soon as you check the settings right, it all just kind of works as expected. It seems too good to be true, but so far so good. I've made a couple bucks. I have Golden Nugget left that I haven't done. I have Bet Parks left that I haven't done. And then the Hard Rock one and Superbook, both a little confusing. I might try my luck with Hard Rock, but we'll see. We'll start with Golden Nugget here.
Well, those are the four specifically that are different from the rest of the pack. And I'll tell you, we decided not to do a video on Superbook because the T's and C's constitute that you can use your bonus bets, but only 25% of them at a time, and mixed in with your real cash money wager. The Hard Rock one I can go into more detail about because it's ridiculous and unfair. It has a 20-time playthrough requirement, so it's just not reasonable. So we decided to nix that one as well. The Golden Nugget is the one that we're going to be walking through today, and we're going to do a bit of a demonstration here with Max with us, and he's actually going to go through and place this bet. So we'll walk through the T's and C's first and foremost for Golden Nugget. I'll pull that up here because with all of these, you absolutely want to make sure you're reading terms and conditions for every single one of them because they're all different, right? And this one is no different. So with Golden Nugget, the promo that we're going to be matched betting right now on Sporttrade is a $250, technically a risk-free or money-back bet. People are not supposed to be saying risk-free bet anymore, just FYI. They do it. They're not supposed to. So this is a money-back bet. The difference here from Betway has a similar offer, which is, $250 bet paid back to you in bonus bets of $250 if it loses. The difference here for Golden Nugget is this is returned to you whether your first bet wins or loses, which is great, right? So you may be thinking, oh, then what's the point of even hedging? I could just win that first bet, get the 250, and then win the second bet. But as we know, that doesn't always happen. And there are some terms and conditions that are in place to make sure that potentially it doesn't happen. So again, we'll go through the T's and C's here. Important to note, minimum odds. A lot of terms and conditions have minimum odds requirements, and this one is no different. The qualifying wager, your first bet, must be placed with cash and minimum odds of -200. The award is non-withdrawable bonus bet. So the whole point of this series, as Max can attest to, is converting that non-withdrawable bonus bets into withdrawable cash. And we can assume via Dark Horse that we could do that at a 70% conversion rate. So what's 70% of 250? I should probably know this by now, but since I'm just terrible at math, I'll just go ahead. My man, $175. So we can assume to make about $175 of actual cash, and all it takes us is a deposit of $250. You have 14 days to use this particular bonus bet. That's not going to be an issue, and it's awarded within 48 hours of your settlement of your first cash wager. No restrictions. This is the biggest part. There are no restrictions on your bonus bet token, right? So that's really important. All right, I will flip over to Dark Horse now that we understand the T's and C's.
And one thing just to touch on, you also touched on Betway. So I went through it with Betway, was fine. That was the only one so far where I actually needed to reach out to support to have them credit me with the bonus bet. So it's something you both want to check the T's and C's, and you want to have your settings right. But watch it to make sure that you're credited with the bonus bet that you deserve. And then also make sure that you stay on top of it and place your bet before it expires. Because like it said there, you got the 14 days, some of them are 14 days, 7 days, whatever the case may be, just stay on top of it so that you make sure you place it and that doesn't expire, because that would suck.
Great point there. Okay, so this is Dark Horse Odds. Again, one of our great partners with Sporttrade. If you want to sign up for Sporttrade and do matched betting, make sure you use promo code LACEY, LACEY. Upon sign up, we'll give you $10 upon a $50 deposit. That way, your first month of Dark Horse is completely free. They run a promotion where your first month is $10. We're going to go ahead and say, cool, we'll give you $10 so you can sign up for Dark Horse for free. One of the things you want to do with every single matched bet is we want to go to our settings and make sure we are setting ourselves up for success. And that means going to sports books, going to location. Again, Sporttrade available in New Jersey and Colorado. We want to make sure we have Sporttrade clicked here and Golden Nugget specifically. Now, for us and for Profit, the other exchange in the state of New Jersey, it has something called BYO, which is basically your own pricing. What this means is an exchange wagering. You can request in our app, you can request limit orders, or on other exchanges, you can request your own pricing. The problem with that on Dark Horse is that Dark Horse assumes you'll be able to get almost any price that you request, and that's just not reasonable. Typically on Sporttrade, if you're putting in a limit order, if you know anything about stock trading, if you are putting in a limit order above the midpoint, aka the true price of what our market makers believe to be the true price of an outcome, that will get filled, but it's not a guarantee. And when you're match betting, you want to make sure you're getting both of these bets down. So we're going to go ahead and keep Sporttrade New Jersey. I'll do a quick walkthrough of the different types of bets available on Dark Horse. You have, of course, arbitrage betting, which is useful. We're not going to use it today. We have a qualifying bet, which we're actually going to use for Golden Nugget, and that is basically bet X to get Y. Another example of that, Max, would be FanDuel or DraftKings, right? Download FanDuel or DraftKings, deposit a minimum of $10, bet $5 of those dollars, and you get $200 in bonus bets. You're betting 5 to get 200. That's a qualifying bet. The risk-free bet is Betway, which we just mentioned, right? You risk your own money, $250 of your own money, and then you are repaid in something which is most likely a bonus bet. But to get that qualifying bet, let me rephrase, that way there's no confusion. To start that process, you are using the risk-free bet. Site credit, we don't see a whole lot of site credit. There's only one example in our entire matched betting series where you're doing site credit, and that is just on Barstool, and that's basically it. And then free bet. Your free bet is your bonus bet, your protected bet, your money back bet. That is returned to you. Now, the key differentiator between site credit and free bets is site credit, your stake and your winnings are both returned to you. Your free bet, your stake is not returned to you, only your winnings. And that is spelled out in every single terms and conditions that we have seen. So we'll go to qualifying bet here. We've already got it set up. There are a bunch of things you can go through and filter through to make sure that you're doing this correctly. We want to make sure we have Golden Nugget selected, and then I will go through and look at exactly what we want to do. We have a bet match for $250 returned to us as a free bet. The reward modifier percentage-wise is 100% because we're getting 100% of 250, so $250. And that outcome is win or lose. Very important to have these settings correct. Very important to make sure you don't have site credit also selected. Otherwise, you see this conversion rate is about 100%. That's not what it is. It's a free bet, not a site credit. So what we'll do from there, Max, is we're looking at this entire spreadsheet here of options. Anything look good to you?
Yeah, I mean, start at the top. And let's see. Yeah, I'm going to go to Golden Nugget to check to make sure they still have that and the lines are accurate.
Well, before you do that, let's talk about main lines.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Right? Perfect.
So one of the things you can do on Dark Horse is filter what sort of lines it shows you. We also want to make sure we talked about the minimum odds requirement, which was minus 200. So we want to make sure we're filtering for those things specifically. So bet odds minus 200, right? Because we want to make sure we're qualifying. And something else that's actually really important. Now, $250 is not a huge bet in their eyes, but if you're being served a market that is an alt market that is, we'll call it an alternate spread that's, not a tease, right? 6 points, but it's like 4.5, 5 points off of the main line. There's not going to be a lot of liquidity there. So $250 bet may not get accepted. And honestly, when I did Bet Rivers, I made this mistake. So my initial bet of $250 was actually cut in half. That's all they accepted. So it completely kneecapped my profitability there. So yeah, to say all that, we're going to click main lines only, and then we'll have lines specifically for NFL and college football that are going to be very deep liquidity-wise. Perfect. So we take a little bit of a hit on our conversion rate, but that's okay because we're going to find out why in just a second. So now you can look at the Kansas City Chiefs and the Minnesota Vikings money line. We've got the Chiefs at minus 185, right? That satisfies our qualification of a minimum odds requirement of minus 200. And then you've got the Vikings here on Sporttrade at plus 170 at $142. So Max, if you want to queue those up, I'll allow you to do that. And then I'll walk us through the explanation.
And I see the Chiefs at minus 185 on Golden Nugget. And then flipping over to Sporttrade. And I'd be betting on the Vikings here. I see the Vikings at plus 170.
Love it.
All right. And I'm just going to queue up. The hedge bet is for $175.
Yep. $142.
$142. Okay. Yeah. Good. If you dismiss this real quick, because it's a lot easier to just see the numbers to put in on the other screen.
Sure. Can you see that?
Okay.
So 250. Yep. And 142.
All right. So I have that queued up. Not going to place it till my other one gets accepted. Perfect. Chiefs ready to go. And then it's my first time placing a bet on Golden Nugget, and it's not as intuitive as I would like.
No, it's
I got
really
to
not.
that flip to actually go to it. It doesn't just pop up. So 250. Okay. And Golden Nugget says an error occurred.
Good.
Hang on. Nice and smooth on the other side. Hang on. Bear with me. Bet slip. Okay, Golden Nugget is saying an error occurred.
With no further explanation?
No, that's all I got.
Okay.
Hang on 1 second. Let me get out of this and try it again.
Yeah. And again, we don't want to place the hedge bet, right? We want to make sure Golden Nugget is accepting that $250 bet before we do anything. And you can always come back to it. But while you're doing that, I'll kind of walk through the math behind all of it. So if that qualifying bet were to win for Max, right, that bet on the Kansas City Chiefs money line, he would profit $134.14 from the bet. Now, he would lose his hedge bet, right, with $142. He would get his $250 back, right, which is, again, expected at 70% for a conversion rate. So if you're looking at this and you're saying, well, wait, he's upside down, right? Like he's down $7. Correct. On that first transaction, he is down $7, but he is awarded the $250 free bet promotion, right? Which is valued at $175, 70% of $250. So he would technically be profiting 168.14. We will come back to this. I assure you, if you're like, but wait, we'll come back to it. If the hedge bet were to win, he profits $247. He pays about $5 in commission on Sporttrade. Now he loses that qualifying bet, right, which came out of his own wallet. So he loses that $250. But again, he gets the $250 back in bonus bets, and that is where this number comes into play. 70%. Remember that conversion rate. That's where that comes into play. And then he would be up. He would be at $167.10, assuming that 70% conversion after he places his second bet. How are we doing, Max?
We're not doing so good.
Okay.
An error occurred. I logged out. I logged back in. I have my account funded with. I got $1,000 in there. I don't know why this one isn't working as expected. I haven't had this issue before. I've had the issue with getting limited or something like that. But you want to flip over. Maybe we try the Cowboys Niners. It's
sure.
Yeah.
So Cowboys Niners here is a 67.2 conversion rate. I mean, you see the profit difference is about $1 depending on who wins. So if you want to try that one, you do the Niners at minus 180 for $250.
All right.
And then you would hedge on Sporttrade the Cowboys plus 167 for $146.
So the Niners, hang on. I see the Niners at minus 180. Okay. Hopefully no errors are occurring.
Maybe they're just afraid of your action.
Yeah, right? I'm not that good. It's saying an error occurred again.
So maybe Golden Nuggets having some issues.
They might be. Yeah, the
other
side, I'm good. Hang on one second. Let me just X out of everything, load it back up.
Give it one more try, and if it's not working, we'll chalk it up to a mistake from Golden Nugget, and then we can just move on to the second bet.
Okay, hang on one second.
Meanwhile, comment from our guy Boost. The Boost is loose on another live stream. Let's go, Max. Get that in. Boost, we love the Boost check-ins, especially on Sundays when we seem to be head up a lot in our betting. Me and the Boost. Shout out to Boost.
You're on the opposite sides?
Yeah, I feel like we're always head-to-head for some reason.
Which is a perfect way if you could use Sporttrade where you put in a limit order.
That's right.
In the midpoint. He comes in limit order in the midpoint. You both get better odds than you'd get at any other book. Yeah. And life is good. But unfortunately, you can't use Sporttrade.
Right. Last night during our live stream with the whale capper, Drew Dinsick, he was looking at our pregame straddle, and it was minus 108, minus 102.
Okay.
He's like, that is insane. He's like, I've never seen that before. He's like, you literally nowhere else in the world can you get that sort of price pregame. He calls it pre-flop.
Pre-flop. I like that.
Poker player, I guess. Yeah.
I like that. I was at an event yesterday, and it was showing somebody just the better odds in general. And then I was like, look, if I don't like that, I can put in a limit order.
Right.
And their head just exploded for a second. You could what? It's a sports. It took a second, but they ended up downloading.
Yeah. Oh, so great. Love to hear that. Download a deposit.
There we go. Yeah. Hang on one second. Let me see. Sure. Football Sunday.
Yep.
See more. Now we're
looking at the Niners and the Cowboys here.
The Niners minus 180 still. Now I go to the bet slip. What is the error? This is
okay. Well, we'll have to contact Golden Nugget. In this scenario, so let's just say, well, clearly Golden Nugget's struggling today.
Yeah.
Let's just say you were able to get that bet down. So what you would do is you would wait for that bet to conclude. Depending on what happens here, you're getting your $250 regardless of outcome, right? But either way, because you're hedging, right? Because you are betting 250 plus 146 is what, 396? Because you're betting 396, regardless of outcome, you're down a couple dollars. So you have to convert your free money into profit in order to come out profitable. So we'll go to the free bet finder. We'll type in our $250. We'll go to Golden Nugget. Again, we're going to go through and click main lines only. Now, there was no restriction on the bonus bet, right? There's no minimum odds requirement here. So now we can kind of look through the program and see, we really just want our highest conversion rate possible. This is a really juicy one, actually. Now, this is an example, right? We're looking at something that's happening the day before the NFL football game. You will have to wait for that bet to your first bet to settle. And then once you're refunding your bonus bets, you'll go to your free bet finder, and then you'll have available games that are not in the past, right? But this one's really juicy because Sporttrade is also running a cash back promotion the first 7 days on the app. So if you're signing up for Sporttrade using code LACY to get your $10 after a $50 deposit, you're also opting into the first week on the app, a cashback program for 3% cashback on your total handle up to $200 in your first week. So $19.48 as a hedge will earn you, let's see, $19.48 times 0.03 will earn you an additional $48.44 on this bet. So that's awesome. So that's going to be put right into your account. So Max, let's say you lost that first bet, or even you won your first bet, doesn't really matter. Regardless, Golden Nugget has given you that $250 in bonus bets to use. You come here, you'll see Georgia Tech, Miami money line, ACC game, should be plenty of liquidity, $250, not a problem. It's Georgia Tech plus 850. And because Miami is such a prohibitive favorite, we will have $1,900 of liquidity within that market. And if we don't, wait till Friday, wait till Saturday morning, it'll be there. So we'll go through the mechanism here again. So if Georgia Tech were to pull this upset, you would profit $2,125, but you hedged $1,948. Your net profit on this bet is $177. Now you're looking at this and you're saying, okay, cool, but what happened before? Disregard that. The only number you really care about is this one here, 70.8. We'll call it $71, okay? So we'll go back to our original qualifying bet. We played it on the Cowboys, right? Because Golden Nugget sucks today. So you see 167.89 or 168.62 at 70%. Well, we were able to get one at 71%. So that's worth an extra, I think, 55 cents. I did the math before we started. So your net profit is actually either $168 or $169 after that second bet settles. Does that make sense?
Makes complete sense. The other thing that, so I've talked to a few people about this, and then they get a little bit, I guess, overwhelmed with the size of the bet that they need to place on the hedge bet,
Sure.
which when you're doing this the first way, and I've kind of said, hey, work your way up. So you start with the simple ones of like FanDuel, DraftKings, a Bet365. Then you do like a Betway 250 where you have a meaningful hedge bet to work your way up to ultimately like the MGM one with the 1500 risk-free bet or whatever it should be called.
Yeah.
It can be a little overwhelming to think I've got $7,000 of action and not knowing it's going to hit the right way. So what I've also done or said to people, like if you go back to the free bet, there were a few different options there. So the percentage-wise might be slightly less in your favor. But if you want to do it at 67.9% conversion, your hedge bet only $580. That might be a little bit more palatable. And you lose on a couple of bucks, but you don't need to put up 1,500, 2,000 if you're not comfortable. Now, I went right for it, and I went for the best odds. Whatever the biggest bet was fine with me. It was nice to see it all settle, see it all work as expected. The other thing that I've also done, which is with some friends who are a little bit more degenerates, is basically using some of these options to lock in some free money, but taking a little bit of a swing for a bigger win. So you don't completely hedge, but you still put yourself in a spot where, okay, if it doesn't work out how you'd like or how you think, then you can go and hedge and lock in the free money. But if, let's say, you really liked Georgia Tech, or let's say you really liked Syracuse, North Carolina, you might not hedge completely if you really like Syracuse, for whatever the case may be. But you're not doing this. You're not a pro. Odds aren't in your favor, except for when you're leveraging these bonus bets. So just do it and take the free money.
No, it's a great point. And your first point is maybe the biggest point, right? Some people aren't comfortable betting that much money. We built this entire content series out to maximize your profit. But of course, most of these are deposit bonus based, right? So if you're depositing $50, you're getting $50. If you're doing 100, you're getting 100. And to find out the conversions is as easily as just doing that, right? Type in 50, and now you can see like this becomes totally reasonable now. Syracuse money line, $50 at plus 300. North Carolina 116, right?
Yeah,
completely reasonable. And it's a great point. Some of the feedback we've gotten, including from this gentleman right here, Matt Modi, was, do I really have to lay that much money? The answer is no, you don't. But of course, we built out the entire series to maximize that profit. So,
and I think if you also start with the DraftKings, FanDuel, and Bet365 ones, the outlay is minimal.
Mm-hmm.
You actually see it work. That makes you feel a little bit more comfortable. And the,
Sure.
the other point that these are all the bonuses that you get without anything else. There's also the referral bonuses. So if you have a friend who has an account, for example, DraftKings or FanDuel, if you refer through the casino, you get $25 more on FanDuel than if you refer through the sportsbook. But you do that, you both get an extra $100. So it's on top of everything you've outlined. And then when you go to tell your friends about how you just made $3,000 arbing all these sign-up bonuses, you give them your referral code, and now you scoop up an extra few hundred along the way, whether you want to place those bets and with some action, or if you want to just convert that into free money, you can come back to Dark Horse and do the same thing with all those referral bonuses as well.
A great point. Max, this has been a really fun half hour hanging out. Is there anything, as somebody who has done this, any other points of emphasis that you want to give to people?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big ones we touched on were, one, making sure your settings are right on Dark Horse, or else you might find the odds that aren't there. Limit orders are amazing with the platform, but not for hedging and arbing and sign-up bonuses. Two would be watching, like you said, the T's and C's, making sure you actually use your bonus bets and the time allotted to use them so they don't expire. Then placing the bonus bet before placing the hedge bet and making sure the liquidity is there before you place your bonus bet and then place your hedge bet, getting them both teed up. Other than that, I mean, it's a little bit of a process to go through signing up for all the platforms. But when you look at it for like the amount of time spent and the dollars recovered, or the ROI, or what you can get paid per hour, however you want to look at it, it's incredible. And it's just being subsidized by the sports books today. And with the information, content, and the exchange provided by Sporttrade, it's a home run. I mean, it's a no-brainer to take advantage of it and just start baby steps. As you see it work, you get more comfortable and you can walk away with a few $1,000.
Max, thanks so much for hanging out and doing this. Excited to have somebody try it and give some meaningful feedback. So we really appreciate it. And we appreciate everybody watching. Have a great weekend.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. Take care.